right, looks like we have Coach Gilmore joining us. Just a second here. Hey, Coach, you in a spot? You ready to go, or do you need to find a spot? You good to go? Okay, sounds good. We'll start with the questions in chat as always, and we'll get started. So,
hey Ben, can you give me permission to record?
Yes.
Sorry, Ben.
Real quick here, Coach. First question will be from Lindsay Huddleston, and I'll get you here in a second, McLean. Lindsay?
Thank you. All right, Coach. Last time I talked to you, I was pitch hitting for Jack Ebling on his Drive with Jack show, and we talked about your background, your history, and what does perseverance mean right now that we're coaching in the pandemic and you have all these young people who haven't experienced anything like this and coaches who haven't? What is your history and background? How does it help you deal with the question of perseverance for these young people you're coaching?
Well, he's not on the call right now. He dropped off. So should I answer for him?
Yeah, I guess so. My question fell like a rock, huh?
Well, that was a great question. It's just,
Lindsay, we'll get back to you here in a second. I think Coach was in the tight end room, and I don't know if he's got good connection in there. So
sorry about that, boys. I got disconnected there.
No problem, Coach. Appreciate you joining us. Our first question is from Lindsay Huddleston, and if Coach, we'll redo the question from Lindsay. Thanks, Lindsay.
Okay.
Coach, my first time it went over really well, but I was going to ask you again about coaching and perseverance, using your background and the people you've coached over time and coaching during this pandemic. How do you address the question of perseverance when you're trying to coach these athletes in this pandemic?
Well, I tell you what, we spent a lot of time talking about being present, being where your feet are. I think, three things I really stress with the guys is I think we all handle good news very well. And believe it or not, I think we all handle bad news because we know what it is. But the uncertainty gets us. And just trying to remind the guys just to stay present, win today. And that's all we can truly control is today, and having that mindset on everything we do as far as working the process.
Next question is from Matt Wenzel with M Live.
Hey Ted, it's been a while since we caught up with you, but I was wondering what Matt Dotson's status is this season, actually coming off of the Achilles injury last year, if you think he'll be ready to go and be able to play at all this year.
Well, we're counting on him. Obviously, he's working hard and getting himself back into game shape. Obviously, if you ask Matt, he feels he's it's work in progress, but he's working hard. He's competing, and he's out there every single day.
Okay, and what your impressions of the room overall with him coming back, with Trenton coming on late last year, and the other guys in the mix, just what you kind of see as maybe what their individual strengths might be?
Well, like I said, it's a room that we're going to need every single one of those guys to give us some depth. And obviously, as one that in this offense, we need those guys to be good. I mean, because they factor in on every single thing we do, run in, pass. But I need every single one. So if we take 4 on the road, I'm going to need all 4 of them to be ready to play. And like you said, they do bring certain qualities to the table, but obviously my challenge to them is to become complete players and not just look at yourself as a pass receiving tight end, but one that can do it all. And we talk about our group as the Arsenals. We got to be able to do it all, run and pass. So that's my challenge, and that's my vision for the guys. And to this point, I think they are buying into that. And obviously we have our good days or bad days, but I think we're moving in the right direction.
Thank you.
Next question is from Graham Couch of the Lansing State Journal.
Hey, Ted, want to know what about Mel Tucker drew you to him when he first started talking to you about this job?
Well, Coach Tucker and I have known of each other, just been in the business, never worked, and had some mutual friends. And obviously, with Jake Johnson and Coach Cap, we all worked together 20 years ago at the University of Kansas. So we had that connection. And that really kind of spearheaded and got it going. And obviously the respect that I have for the program here and what they have done, and, being in the Big Ten. And I just felt it was time. And like I said, and obviously I wanted to hitch my cart to Coach Tucker. And I've been very, very excited about how he talks to the team, how he communicates to the staff, and very transparent. And I'm fired up about the possibilities.
You've been a part of other first years of regimes at places. I'm wondering what have you found that's critical that happens in year one, wherever you might be?
Well, I think as best as possible is I don't think there's a coach out there that don't talk about the culture, that don't talk about the process. And I think the important piece is getting the kids to trust what you're saying. And I think Coach Tuck, I think the staff have done a good job of, letting them know and letting them see who we are. And that's the one thing with the whole COVID situation, I think that actually has helped us. You'd have had a lot of time to do the Zoom, a lot of times to talk to them, and they've been able to get to know you in a different way, more so than on the field and your personality on the field. So I think that has aided in that process.
Thank you.
Next question is from Jim Comparoni with Spartan Magazine.
Hey, Ted, thanks for taking out time to do this with us. We appreciate it. We had heard that there was one scrimmage a couple of weeks ago. I'm wondering if there was a second one, and if so, what kind of progress did the tight ends make between the first and second scrimmage, if you can share that with us?
There was some bad. I gotta learn how.
Obviously, we're having some connection issues, so let's hang tight real quick and see if Coach Gilmore can join us again. I'll see if I can get a hold of Coach separately. Let's see if he can reconnect real quick.
Can you hear me, man?
We got you, Coach. We got you. So we apologize.
I'm on to device number 3 now.
Okay.
All right.
Ben, do you want me to re-ask that question? Because I'm not sure we heard any of the answers. It sounded like a good answer and we couldn't quite get to it.
Yeah, if you don't mind. Sorry, Coach, if you can repeat that. But Jim, if you can ask your question again and then Coach can answer it one more time.
Ted, appreciate your patience. Thanks a lot. We had heard that there was one scrimmage, and I think there was going to be a second one. I think you were talking about whether or not there was progress between the first and second scrimmage and how they looked in the second scrimmage, if there was one at tight end.
There was 2 scrimmages. Obviously, from the first to the second one, as it relates to my position, in my opinion, we looked like we was better condition. There was a more sense of urgency about our business. I think we made strides in terms of the communication across the board, just trusting one another and talking. Obviously, you see guys talking on the field, helping each other out and communicating. And I think that's important because obviously when we're on the practice field, you got the coaches standing directly behind you. Then obviously once we create that game atmosphere, they're on their own, so they got to talk and rely on each other. And we made big strides in that area. Obviously there's some good, there's some bad. There's always going to be that. And obviously I try as best as possible to coach confidence and hang on to good and not let the bad beat me up, but they're working hard.
All right, we heard Adam Burgorst was a guy that traveled with the team, moved the tight end last year because of injuries and so forth, a guy that could do both sides of the ball. We've seen that, I think, on the roster, he's added 20 pounds since last year as a true sophomore. What do you see in his progress since you probably looked at film of him from last fall and practice and so forth? How's he coming along?
Well, you know what? He's working extremely hard because he is a big man, and we're spending a lot of time trying to get him to play lower, trying to get his pads down in the run game. He has stepped it up, being a little bit more physical, which we need him to do because with that size, he's got to be able to hold a point for us. In the pass game, he's a guy that I spend a lot of time trying to, get him to transition a little better. Spend a lot of time trying to get him to understand how to, we don't have to be the fastest guy, but with his body and his length, he can create the same separation by learning how to lean on people and getting them to understand that.
Next question is from Chris Solar, the Detroit Free Press.
Good to see you, Ted. You've got a bunch of other guys too. You've got Guajardo coming in as a young kid. We mentioned about Dotson, but Trenton and Max Rosenthal are the guys who probably play the most at that position. I guess from Trenton's standpoint, what does he need to do to take that next step to become a every down guy? And where do you see Max fitting in terms of, is he more of a fullback-ish H-back kind of guy, or is he going to be up on the line now for you guys?
Starting with Trent. Trent is a guy that runs extremely well, and he's a young man that we feel can really help us in the pass game part of it. So his challenge and his mission is to get better at the point in the run game and to become a complete player. So that's something we're trying to challenge him to do, and he's embracing it. And as he continue to get better as far as a leverage player, get better as far as using our hands, I think he's well on his way to taking that next step to become a complete player and to have a bigger role. If he does that. Obviously, you talk about Max. Max is a guy that's finding his way off that injury and still working through things. He will still be more of that move guy for us. In my opinion. But like you said, time will tell on that. Obviously, you talk about Tommy. Tommy right now, and you hit the nail on the head. He's young, and I'm hoping I don't have to count on him right now. But as you guys are aware, heck, we moved Tyler Hunt to that position, and he's been a wonderful surprise. He's doing some really good things and bring some athleticism to the table. So that excites me there.
Next question is from Matt Wenzel with MLive.
Hey, Ted, you kind of touched on a few of the guys, but when you look at your room, it's kind of an interesting mix with Adam and Parks being guys who came in as DEs. You just mentioned Max, Reed, Tyler. You have these guys who have played other positions. There's something, I know you talk about tight ends needing to be, versatile in what you do, but is there something that lends to these guys coming from multiple positions previously to play tight end, or do you think that's just more of kind of an anomaly this year based on the roster?
Well, I think it's the latter. I think it's just based on the roster and where the guys were at the end of last year and where we're at this year. I mean, so it is an interesting group of guys, that we have put together in that room, but you know what? The one thing I will say this about each and every single one of them is they're willing souls, they're willing participants, that their spirit is all about the right things and working hard and competing. And as long as you got that, you feel like you have a chance.
Thank you.
I see a question from Jack. Jack, do you have a question? I didn't see in the chat, but I didn't know if you had one for Coach Gilmore.
Yeah, Ted, not like you haven't been around tight ends before, but what's the biggest difference transitioning to that position after coaching the wide receivers for so long at Wisconsin?
You know, for myself is spending less time watching the wide angle and watching the tight angle. So I you know, other than that is coaching ball. I mean, it's coaching ball and trying to get the guys to step in the right direction and play with technique. I mean, that doesn't change regardless of what position you are. So I think it's just in my mind, just not focusing more on the box as opposed to the perimeter. And that's the biggest difference. That's been my biggest transition.
Looks like we have time for one more, and it's from Jared Ramsey with Impact Sports.
Hello, Coach.
You
Courtney
doing?
Hawkins is in his first year as a collegiate wide receiver coach. Have you been working with him this offseason in his transition? And how's he doing in the position?
No, I mean, hey, Courtney is very, very good football coach. He does not need my help. I got my hands filled with coaching the tight ends. And, you know, so obviously if he has a question on anything, and that goes same with the whole staff as a whole, is a staff that's very, what's the word I'm looking for, you know, lends themselves to each other. And, you know, but no means am I looking over Courtney's shoulder, or, you know, he does a fantastic job and a good football coach.
All right, well, that's the time that we have for today. I know Coach Gilmore's got a very busy schedule. We appreciate everyone's patience going through the connection issues. Thank you, Coach, for hopping back on, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ted.
Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.